Welcome to Military Spouse World 1-to-1, a weekday podcast featuring a military family shaker and mover, helping you navigate this amazing chapter in life. Here's your host, Dave Etter.
On today's edition of Spouse World 1-to-1, we catch up with and get to talk to Rebecca Alwine. You know her as a well-read and well-loved author of helpful spouse articles in multiple military magazines. Hi, Rebecca. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you?
Outstanding. You know, you're one of my favorite writers, right?
Oh, thank you.
You wrote something that was so flattering that it helped me get to where I am now so that I could offer this podcast and people join in. And when you put in that you wanted to be interviewed, I was just jumping around. I was happy. Oh, yes, Rebecca.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. I always am happy when I write about people and they like what I have.
What are some of the places that you've written for?
Well, there's quite a list of them. Some I write for just once, some I write for on a regular basis. Within the military community, Military Spouse Magazine, PCS Grades, Homefront United Network, Military One Click, AmeriForce Media's magazine.
I know you did Army magazine because that's where everybody saw me and they went, "Oh my gosh, you're in Army." I said, "Yeah."
Yes, I was added as a contributing writer to AUSA's Army magazine late last year.
Nice. Now, you've been a freelance writer for a while now. Tell us about that.
I started writing about, I think it's been 4 years now. Yeah, about 4 years. I started writing a piece here and there, mostly for Military Spouse magazine. I dabbled in it while I was working full-time position for the Army Transition Program. Then I decided that I didn't want to work full-time anymore, so I quit. That's the truth. That's not what I wanted to be doing.
It's smart. The best job in the world is the one where you know the boss and you like the boss and hopefully you like yourself. So working for yourself is a smart thing. Entrepreneuring.
Exactly. Yeah. So I took some time off from formal work. My husband switched positions, which put a huge need for me to be available all the time for my kids, and that's the most important thing that I'm to do in life is to be there for my family.
Absolutely, yeah.
I continued to dabble in writing. I picked up a couple things here and there. At that point, almost everything was inside the military community. When I really kicked off a business, a career, a full-time commitment was actually when I had my third child about 14 months ago. Everything fell into place. I was able to put in a decent amount of time each week, establish some baseline clients. A year later, I'm pretty darn happy with how my business, my career life is working.
Is it easy to write for a living? I mean, to write blogs, to write pieces like that? I mean, do you really need to have a journalism degree?
I don't have a journalism degree, so I would say you don't need one.
That's good to hear. I haven't a clue how to write things. So when I do write something, it kind of stumbles and wanders all over the place. And there's a book that's coming out here in which I'm in, and I tell a brief story in there about, the history of me and my wife, but I envy people who can write and make it clear and make it, flattering without being too crazy. That's the stuff that you can do, the stuff that you've done and is just absolutely amazing.
Well, thanks. I really enjoy writing research pieces, and I think that's an area where my college experience helped. When you write research papers in college, I had to write a thesis for my master's, so I can write research papers. I hate the research part of it, but I enjoy learning about a topic.
So once you know about the topic, and then you start to
good to go. Yeah.
How do you work that? Do you play with the thoughts of, like I do with my interviews, I ask the questions I think people are wanting to hear, as if they were standing in front of you going, "Hey, Rebecca, how do I start my first blog?"
Right, I do. There are two ways that I write. One is by assignment. So a client says, "I want an article about X," and they're very clear about what they want, how many people they want interviewed, how long they want it to be. Those are the easiest for me because it's a very clear guideline on what they want. The other side of things, which I call the hard part about writing, is taking an idea that I have or that somebody else has, finding it at home, and writing about it.
Can you give an example?
Yes, I have an idea, and I've been floating it around in my head for a while, on a series of I'm new to the military lifestyle, and I have what we call stupid questions to ask, and I don't know how to get the right answers. So in my head, I'm thinking, how do I get my ID card renewed? What website actually do I need to go to make a TRICARE appointment, or to check on my referral, or to make dental? Because, there's 52 websites for healthcare. That sort of thing, those questions that as spouses who have had more than 3 or 4 years in the military know without having to even think about it, and the brand new ones don't. So I have this idea for a 3 or 4 part series on those sorts of questions, but I have nowhere to write it. I have nowhere to put it. And since I don't blog for myself, I can't just throw it up on my blog. I have to find an outlet who wants to publish it.
Right.
So I've been trying to find the right place for it, to find someone who might be interested in a 3 or 4 point part series. It's been on the back burner the last couple of months, to be completely honest, but that's something that I'm focusing on. So finding a place to write or to take the stories that I have written is the hardest part about writing for someone else.
Do you have pointers for somebody that's come up with something and they have already fleshed it out, but they don't know who they should hand it to? I mean, is there a way that you found that works the best to submit something you've written to a publication?
What I have found is to look at the publications who publish similar items. So if it's a military spouse related topic, you'd start with the publications that tailor to military spouses. So you look at the big names there, read what they're writing, what they're publishing, figure out kind of what they're looking for in their format, and then Google or look on their website for their editor or their submission guidelines.
Right.
A lot of information can be found right on the website as to what they're looking for, how to do it. So that's my recommendation on trying to write for someone else.
Interesting. Do they kick back what you submit if they say, we'd like to take a look at what you've got? Do they edit it up and then send it back to you and then you have to rewrite?
I typically don't get things sent back to be edited. Most of the time I submit, they do some light edits and publish it. There are some clients who want more of a relationship with editing, and so we might look through some things together, or if they're like, this is not what we had in mind, take another stab at it. But as far as editing with the publication, it's not something I do very often. Figuring out what editors want is the game in freelance writing. It's the game. And once you can break into a publication or develop a relationship with an editor, then it becomes so much easier.
Nice.
At this point, the people that I write for, I have a relationship with the publication, with the editor, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. They can send me an email and say, hey, can you write about this? Sure. And I go for it. Or I can email them and say, hey, I have an idea about this. And they say, go for it.
Wow.
There isn't a formal pitch requirement. Once you have developed a relationship, you don't have to go through the formality of everything every time.
Writing for something like PCS Grades isn't quite what I would look at as, when you wrote about me, you wrote about what I've done, where I'm going, how exciting it is, and how it helps out other families. That's pretty cool. But writing for something like PCS Grades, I don't know. It just seems to me that's like, okay, here is a review of this particular area. Those are different types of writing styles. How do you know what kind of writing style you have?
You try it and see if it works. If you have an idea about something, or you're knowledgeable about something, or you're passionate about something, just start writing. My plan 4 years ago was never to make a living off of writing. I'm not even sure it's my plan today, to be honest with you.
But you're so good at it.
Well, thank you. And I have knowledge to share and a medium, an audience who wanted to learn about it. Here we are. I mean, that was it, pretty much.
So how would somebody get a hold of you if they were wanting to ask you some other questions, maybe to help get them motivated to do that first step and submit?
My email is the best way for them to get in touch with me, whatrebeccathinks@gmail.com. I have a website up, and I'm updating that as much as I can throughout the next couple of weeks because, life. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all
of the good stuff.
All of them.
Now we need to get you on YouTube with videos. No. We have faces for radio.
I would much rather write than speak or be seen.
Thank you, Rebecca, for taking some time out of your busy day. I know you stay busy because I see your articles everywhere. And spending a little time with us, and hopefully we can motivate some folks to actually start doing their own blogs and their own article submissions and join you in the literary world of informing our fellow spouses.
That sounds fantastic. Thanks for having me, Dave.
You bet. Have fun. Do you like Spouse World 1-to-1? Want to support the efforts to bring interesting and inspiring military spouses into the spotlight? Then go to patreon.com/spouseworld and become a patron. It's a great way to spread the love.
Military Spouse World 1-to-1 is a BDE Productions podcast. The views and opinions of the host or any of the guests are not that of BDE Productions or sponsors. Be sure to like this episode and subscribe to Spouse World 1-to-1.